We begin today at the Mishnah on Daf Mem Zayin Amud Beis. Sagt the Heilige Mishnah, Hareini alecha cherem. A person says to his friend that I will be a cherem to you. The term cherem we had already much earlier in the Masechta, where it discusses what the term cherem means. Cherem could either be something that you're giving away to the Kayanim, then that would actually not be a lashon of a neder. But cherem could also mean to hektish, for the bedek habayis, and that is a lashon of a neder. The Mishnah there earlier in the Masechta actually said it depends in which section of Eretz Yisrael you live in. If you're in a place where there's kayanim, so cherem means something which is not a neder. If you're in a place where there's no kayanim, so that means hektish. But over here the Mishnah doesn't get into the details of this, and so if it just says cherem, we're speaking about a place where the person's kavanah is to aser. He's saying that this should be like cherem, meaning that I should be like hektish to you, and I'm aser to you, me, all my possessions. So hamuda aser, the person that you made the neder for him that he should be, so he becomes aser. Or in the reverse, Harei atalai cherem. A person says, you should be cherem, you should be like hektish to me, and I'll be aser to have enough from you. So then anayder aser, the one that makes the neder, becomes aser on that person. Hareini alecha va'atalai. If he says both, that I should be a cherem to you, and you should be a cherem to me, so they're aser on each other. Shneim asurim, they'll both be aser to have enough from each other. So really, everything we just learned here in this Mishnah till this point is not really a chiddush. This we already learned before. The obvious idea that a person could aser himself and someone else and him. He could aser him on each other. They could aser. But the main chiddush comes right over here in the Mishnah. Shneim mutarim. Now both of these individuals that are now aser to have anah from each other will still be allowed to have anah b'davar shel oilei bavel, with something that the oilei bavel, when they came up from Eretz Yisrael, they came to build the second Beis HaMikdash. So these Oilei Bavel established certain things, as the Mishnah will soon list what they are. And those things are ownerless. They don't belong to anybody. They're basically hefker, but it's there available for everybody's use. So if these two people are going to want to use this thing that Oilei Bavel established, so then they're not having any use from each other, because it's basically available for everybody without any private ownership in this. But va'asurin b'davar shel oiseh ha'ir. They will be aser now, because they have a neder, not to have enough from each other. They will be aser to use something if they're living in the same city. And there are those things and those items that in the city that are used jointly and owned jointly by all the people of the city. That's different. That's not considered to be something which is hefker and just available for the public's use, but it's actually something which is jointly owned by all the people of the city. So it's more like a shutvis. So now they won't be able to use any of these things in the city. So the Mishnah gives examples and explains what it means. What is considered to be those things that the Oilei Bavel, the items of Oilei Bavel that are there available for everybody? Kagain, Harabayis, they built the Beis HaMikdash, the Harabayis, which is there available for everyone to come into. V'ha'azarais, the azaris of the Beis HaMikdash. V'habayir shebemtza derech, and also the pit of water that they dug and they made available for the people that are coming on the way to the Beis HaMikdash. And that's hefker, available for everyone to use. So these people that made a neder can use it as well. What's considered to be those things of that city where there's a partnership, sort of a joint ownership by everybody in the city, and therefore they will not be able to use? Kagain harachba. Rachba either means a big open plaza that all people of the city come to together, or it means a marketplace where everybody brings their items to sell there. Va'merchatz, a bathhouse. Beis HaKnesses, and the shul that everyone comes to daven together. That's also not something which is just hefker for everyone to use, but it's a joint ownership for everybody to come. So if you're using it, you are using the other person's chelek that he has in this, and if there's a isser of a neder, you won't be able to use all these things. V'hateva, and the teva, there's two pirushim what teva means. The Ran says the teva refers to the bima, where you read the Sefer Torah. Taisva says it refers to the Aron Kodesh, where the Sefer Torah is kept. Vasfarim, and all the Sfarim as well, is also going to be part of this neder, that you can't use them. They're owned jointly by all the people. It's interesting because regarding Sfarim, so it's mashma from some Rishonim that they're not guided here in the Mishnah, the word Sfarim. And the reason is because we know the klal, mitzvahs lav lahodnes nitnu. Mitzvahs is not made for hana. So even if there's a neder, that they may not have hana from each other. And these Sfarim are owned jointly by all the people of the city. But when you're learning Torah, the point of the learning is not the hana. So then why shouldn't it be allowed for them to be able to use these Sfarim jointly? So it's mashma, the Rashba, I believe, it's mashma is not guided as the word Sfarim here in the Mishnah. But most Rishonim are guided as the word Sfarim. And the reason is because even though mitzvahs lav lahanis nitnu, but learning Torah is different. The whole inyan of learning Torah is to understand what you learn. And when a person understands what he learns, naturally there's hana there. That gufa is the mitzvah, to learn and to take it in, to digest. So the hana is not a side byproduct of the learning, but that's the actual learning itself. So therefore over here, the Mishnah is saying that when you learn Torah, true, it's not given for hana. When you're doing the mitzvah, your intention is to do the mitzvah l'shem shemayim, but the hana is going to be there automatically. And not only automatically, that is what the mitzvah is, to learn and understand, which is hana. So that's why it's going to be aser. And the Mishnah says, va'kaisev chelkei lenasi. You write away, you give away your portion of these items that belong to everybody in the city. You give it away to the nasi. There's a nasi. There's the leader in the city that he's everything. He's managing everything, or it could be even the nasi, the rav of the city. You give your portion away to him. So then, as the Gemara will explain, what the Mishnah is trying to say over here is that if you give your portion away to this nasi, so now the other person that may not have enough from you could have enough, because you gave away your portion to the nasi. Okay, but now here the Mishnah is going to bring a machlokes. Why do you have to give away your portion specifically to the nasi? For that matter, you can give away your portion to anybody, and then you don't have a portion anymore in these items of the city. The other person could have enough. So the Mishnah explains. Rabbi Yehuda says that really echad kaisav lenasi, whether you're giving away your portion to the nasi in the city, ve'echad kaisav lehadyet, whether you're giving away your portion to any other ordinary person, it's the same thing. You're giving up your portion, so now the person that may not have anah from you will be able to have anah. So therefore he explains, so why did the Mishnah say dafka writing to a nasi? Ma ben kaisav lenasi lekaisav lehadyet. What's the difference if you're writing that you're giving away everything, your portion of these things in the city to the nasi, or you're giving it away to just another ordinary person in the city? If you're going to write a document that you're giving it all the way to the nasi, ain't sarach lezakais. You don't have to make a kinyan, a proper kinyan, to be mezakeh through someone else for this nasi. Usually, if you want to give away something to someone, you want to give it away to the nasi, and the nasi is not present there. So how are you going to give it away to the nasi? You're going to have to find someone else to make a maisa kinyan for this nasi, that he's being kained for the purpose of giving it to the nasi. But just to write on a document that I'm being mezakeh to the nasi, it doesn't take effect. Usually, that's what you would think. But over here, that's the chiddush. When you write it for the nasi, the koyach of the nasi, which is anyways in charge of everything in the city, which is anyways has a certain control of everything that goes on in the city. So if you just write that you're giving it away to the nasi without any additional kinyan, he's zayche in it. Lehadyet, but by a hedyet, sarech lezakes. You do have to make a kinyan in order for this hedyet to be zaychen. It's not going to be enough for you just to write that I want to give it away to another hedyet. You're going to have to make a kinyan. So the Tana of the Mishnah before chose saying you're giving it away to the nasi because over there it's easier. It's just you can just write it and the nasi will be kind right away. So that's why it chose that example.
The case of the nasi is part of Eir or it's part of Elam Bubble?
It's part of Oisei. All those things that belong to that city, and they may not have a nar from each other, but if it's written away to the nasi, so then he'll be able to have a nar from it because you gave up your portion.
That's like Oile Bubble then.
Now it becomes like Oile Bubble, right? Well, it'll be the same. Okay, the Gemara will explain that. That's why I explained it before, that the pshat of what it means. We'll see in the Gemara. The Chachamim say, Echad zeh, whether you want to give away your portion of what you own in the city to the nasi or to just another hedyet, to another ordinary person, it's not just enough to write this in a document. You have to actually make a kinyan in order for it to work. So why did the Mishnah before mention nasi? It's just saying it that that's what's more usual. A person doesn't want to give away his portion to just any other ordinary person. Because you give away your portion to someone else, what happens if that person is going to now say that you may not have a nar from him, you may not have a nar from his portion, so he's going to ask you from having a nar, so then you're in trouble. So you give away your portion to the nasi. The nasi is not going to do such a thing. He's there to manage and to make sure everyone has what they need. So usually a person gives away to the nasi. That's the only reason. But really it makes no difference. The halacha of a nasi or anyone else is the same halacha. Rabbi Yehuda adds to this, Ein anshe golul tzrichim lichtayv. This whole halacha here, that people that made a neder not to have a nar from each other, that now they can't have a nar from those items in the city unless you give away your portion to someone else, this does not apply to the people of Golul. They don't have to write away their portion. Why not? Shekvar kosvu avesein al yideyim, because their parents or their grandparents already did this for them. As Gemara will explain, that in the city of Galil, the people over there, at a certain time period, they were very competitive, or they were fighting always with each other, and therefore they made these Nedarim. You may not have a Nah from this, you may not have a Nah from that, and they couldn't get along. They couldn't walk into shul together. So what do? They just gave everything away to the Nasi, and they said, in this city, nobody has any partnership in the ownership of anything. It all belongs to the Nasi. So they can't start making the Nedarim on each other to ask the other person to walk into shul, or to use the mikveh, to use the bathhouse. And so from then forward, in Galil, there's no such a thing. They could all use whatever items they want in the city. Zok the Gemara, and here the Gemara is asking the question that you asked before. Amai mitzah. When you read the simple words of the Mishnah, when it says Veha kaisav chelka lenasi, it seems like it's coming as a continuation to the items that it said before that they may not use from each other. And it's saying that when you write away your portion to the nasi, that it will also still be usher for the person that may not have a nar from you to use. But why? Why should it be usher if you're giving it away to the nasi? So the Gemara explains, like I explained before when I read the Mishnah, Amar Rav Sheishes Chachi Katani. This is really what the Mishnah means to say. Uma takanasam. What is how can we fix this? In other words, all these things that they may not use from each other. So what do? Yichtavu chelkan lenasi. So instead of the understanding of the Mishnah, when it writes veha kaisev, it's as if the Mishnah writes yichtavu. That the eitzah here is write off your portion to the nasi. And now your friend that may not have an hour from you could walk into shul, could go to the mikveh because you gave away your portion to the nasi. Okay, the next few lines here in the Gemara is just a repetition of the Mishnah, and the Gemara doesn't add anything to it. So let's go to after the parentheses where it brings back the story of Galil. Rabbi Yehuda, and the Mishnah said, Rabbi Yehuda said, Ein anshe Galil tzrichim lezakos. The people in Galil will not have to give away their portion in order for someone to be able to have hana, shekvar kosva v'seim al yedayim, because their parents, their grandparents already did this for them. Tanya and Abraisa, we learned what happened. Rabbi Yehuda says, Anshe Galil kanteronin hayu. The people of Galil were kanteronin. They were very competitive, or very angry people, and they would constantly fight and make these nedarim, and no one could use the shul and the mikveh and all these things that belonged to everybody. They made these nedarim one from another. So at some point, their fathers, they got up, they made this deal or whatever. They decided they're giving everything away to the nasi, so now there's no issue. Now everybody could have a from everything, and no one could go and make a neder that they shouldn't be able to have a.
What happened after 120 years?
What do you mean after 120 years?
Back to Yerusha.
There's no Yerusha. It belongs all to the nasi.
Oh.
Everything belongs to the nasi, and that's the status of that city. In other words, it remains that it belongs to the nasi. Zok Teilige Mishnah, Hamuder Hana Mechavere. Similar to something we learned before, when you have a person that there's a neder, he may not have enough from his friend. But now his friend has nothing to eat, and you can't give him the food directly. So what do? Remember, we learned about this in the Mishnah before. There it says that you go to a storekeeper, and you tell him, give him food. Here the Mishnah says another eitzah. So give the food to someone else as a gift. And now this person that may not have ana is not getting the food from you. He's getting it from a third party. So it's allowed. So the Mishnah here brings a story, and this is a story that was also quoted a few times before. There was a story with the individual living in Beis Chayre. Shahaya Aviv Neider, or the Bach here says the Rishonim Agayid is not Neider but Muder Hana Himenu Hana, that his father, he made a neder that his father should not be able to have Hana from him. But Nava Masias Benai, he was marrying off his son, and he did want his father to be able to come and be by the chasna of his son or of his grandson. Vamala Chaveda, so he comes and tells his friend, Chatzir Usuda, this courtyard here that I own, and this entire festive meal that I'm preparing here for the chasana, nusunim hinan lefanecha. It's all being given as a gift to you. And he says, he makes it clear to him, Ela kedei sheyavei abba, and I'm only giving it to you as a gift for the purpose that my father should come, v'yochal imana besuda, and he should join and eat by the suda with us. Okay, so Amar, his friend says, Im shaliheim, if you're giving it to me, if it's mine, areim ugdashim l'shemayim, I sanctify it to heaven. I give it all away to Hektish. Amalei, so his friend says to him, Nasati l'cha shalish takdishim l'shemayim. Did I give you what's mine for you to go and sanctify it to heaven? I gave it to you. I made it clear. I said I'm giving it to you in order for my father to have the ability to come and join the chasana. Amalei, so his friend says back to him, Nasati liyas shulcha you gave me what belongs to you, Elishatei ata va'avicha oichlin v'shaisin, so that you and your father could come and eat and drink, u'misratzen zeh lezeh, and appease one another and be together here by the chasana. But v'yehei oven toli b'roishai. But now this avera of not keeping the neder will be on your head. Because if you're giving it away just for the purpose so that your father should be able to come and eat it, you never really gave it to me. V'haraya, you're not even allowing me to do what I want with it. I can't be makdish it. So then if you're only doing this so your father can come, so then this is desecrating the neder. This is an aveda. So on this the Gemara actually says that that's taka true. And according to the Bach, he actually guided when this story came to the Chachamim, so Omri Chachamim, the Chachamim taka said, Kol matana. Anytime you give a gift and the gift is not given to the extent that it's a full gift, that if this person wants, he can go ahead and be makdish it, so and it'll be mukadeshes, matana. It's not considered to be a matana, and therefore the neder is still in effect. So this is the story of Beis Chayra, and the Gemara said before that from here Rabbi Yossi said that because of this he didn't allow, if you want to give someone food, he didn't allow to make it hefker, for the person to take it from hefker, because he was geyser because of this, that a person is going to make it a hefker and it's not a real hefker, he's only making it hefker for the other person to get it as a gift from you. All right, this was the story of Beis Chayra, and that's quoted many times. Okay.
Yeah, but the other question is it's much of a mission that he couldn't say that I'm a vatal the
vatal? But it's a different story. Yeah, maybe you can go and be mata neder. That's a different thing. But if you can't, for whatever reason, you can't be mata neder, and you want to give it as a gift to someone, so it has to be a proper gift. That's the halach of this Mishnah. Frek the Gemara, Maisa Lister. The Gemara, the Mishnah that is bringing a story which is a contradiction to the first point of the Mishnah. I mean, when the Gemara here says the word lister, it doesn't mamish mean a contradiction, but what it means to say is it's making an opposite point. The first point of the Mishnah was to say that if you have to give someone food and you can't give it directly, so give it as a gift to someone else. And then it brings a story that's making an opposite point, that you can't give it in a way where it's not a full gift. Yeah, it has to be a full gift. So why is the Mishnah bringing a story to prove a different point than the halacha that it said in the beginning of the Mishnah? And it says the Gemara so there's something missing in the words of the Mishnah, and this is how you have to learn the Mishnah. So first the Mishnah says you have to give it a gift to someone else. But then the Mishnah adds, but if in the end the way you're giving the gift makes it clear what your intention is in the first place, that you don't really mean it to be as a gift, then asr. So then this is not a real gift, so it'll be asr. And on this second halacha, the Mishnah brings the story of Beis Chayrim, where it was clear that he got so upset when he gave it away to Hektish that this is not what he wanted. And he actually said it clearly in his words. He said himself, I'm giving this to you only in order that my father should be able to come and join me by the chasana. And the Gemara actually now explains this. When did the Mishnah say that this is going to be a problem? Only if when the person gives the gift, he clearly said, like it said it in the Mishnah. He said, here, this is for you. And then he added, and this is only for the purpose that my father should come and eat. So when he says it's so clear, that it's only for the purpose of my father to come, so then it's not a real gift at all. But what's if he said to him, that this should be for you, and my father should come and join me by the chasna. He didn't say Ella. Or there is actually another girsa here. There's a few different girsas here in the Rishayim. The Ran over here is guidance that he said V'yavayaba. He didn't say Sheyavay, but V'yavay. And my father will come. He's just like telling him what's going to happen. So then, over here, this will be allowed. This is considered to be a full gift, and as the Gemara explains, because midaitchahu. What he's saying to him is, I'm giving it to you as a full gift. And then he's telling him, I hope you will agree that my father, now that this chatzar and this chasana all belongs to you, I hope you'll invite my father. You know my father is important to me, so make sure that this is your meal, this is your courtyard. Invite my father to the chasana. So if he's saying Elah, so then he's saying the whole gift is for this, he's making a condition in the gift. The whole gift is for the purpose for my father to come. But if it's not a condition in the gift, he's just like making it clear to him, make sure, don't forget to invite my father. So then it's not a condition, so then it's allowed. He's just telling him that it should be, you should agree that my father to come. Now the Gemara brings another version that Rav actually said that either way this is not allowed. Another version of what Rava said was, Amrin lei, Amar Rava, that Rava said, Loi teime, do not say the pshat of here is, Taime, the Amalei. The reason why this matana is not a matana is because he clearly said it and he made a condition, Vihinan lefanecha, he said, this is for you, and he said, Ella. He said, only till the father should come. Who aser? Only then will it be aser. That this is in front of you, and that my father should come, but he didn't say Ella. Or according to the Ran's Girse, he didn't say V'yavai, that my father will come, V'yaychal, and he should come. Mutter, don't think that then it will be allowed. Ela fila amale. Even if he says, Hein lefanecha, and Yavayaba, that this is for you, and my father will come, V'yaychal, and he'll eat, aser. It's still going to be aser. My time, What's the reason? Even though you didn't clearly make it a condition in the words that you're saying, but sudasei mechachasalav, the fact that you're preparing this entire meal over here, nobody is going to prepare an entire meal for a chasana and give it away, and then and not for the purpose for his father to come. It's obvious from the context of what he's doing here that his whole intention is only giving it conditionally so that you're going to invite my father. So even if you didn't make it clear in that in the lashon that you're saying, nevertheless, the circumstance of what's happening here, the suda, is very clear that this is what you mean. So it's not going to be mutter. No. According to the second version, it's not going to be mutter. Asa. It's still going to be asa. My time is sudasa mechachas alav. Zok the Gemara. Hahu gavre. There was a story of a person. The havale bera. He had a son. That he was a ganav. He was stealing bundles of flax. So the father was very upset at him. So he asked all of his possessions on his son, that his son should not be allowed to have anything. His son's not getting anything from him. So people said to this person, why are you doing this? You're seeing what your son is doing, but what's if your grandson is going to be a young Talmud Chacham? Maybe he deserves to get from you. So maybe allow your son to receive in order for him to be able to give for his grandson. So this person said, you're right. So he says to them, so you know what? Likni hadain, and let my son be kaina, and but for what purpose? Not for him to keep, but v'yavoy bar berit sorbim merabanan. So then, if my grandson will be a Talmud Chacham, likne. So then, what I'm giving to my son should go to the grandson from my son. But I don't want my son should have any anah from this. I mean, he made a neder that he shouldn't have. No, so I'm selling it to I'm giving it to my son in order for him to be able to be kainit for the purpose of my grandson to have this. So what's the halacha? What? Why didn't he give it directly to his grandson? This is Yerusha here, right? He's doing it in the Eifen of Yerusha. He's saying that my son should yarshin in order that my grandson should later yarshin it from him.
Give it directly to his grandson.
Yeah. So what's the halacha?
He made a neder, so if he made a neder, he doesn't have to do Yerusha.
Well, Yerusha happens, even in the case of a neder, right? We learned before. Okay, so the Gemara says, the Mefarish over here says, he answers your question, that because the grandson wasn't alive yet. So when they were saying to him, what's going to be with the grandson, they said, what's if he's going to have a son? And there'll be a grandson, and then... So therefore, right now he has to be mezakeh to the son in order for it to go to the grandson. So what's the halacha? Does such a kinyan take effect? Could I give something to someone as a gift where essentially I'm not even giving it to him b'chlal? It's not even taking effect. It's only taking effect so that in the future it'll go to someone else. Is that even possible? Amri Pumpedisai, so in the yeshiva of Pumpedisa they said, Kni almanas lahaknesu, that when I give you something and it's not really being given to you at all. It's not for you to have even for a second, but it's only for the purpose that someone else should be kaine, and therefore v'chol kni almanas lahaknes loikani. If I say that I'm giving it to you, but you should not be kaine at all, and it's only for someone else to get from you, so then this is not kaine. How's the kinyan taking effect? If you want Reuven to be kind for Shimon, so Reuven has to be kind for himself, and then Reuven will give it to Shimon. But over here in this case, where you're saying you're giving it to your son, and your son is not kind at all, and the kinyan is only for the grandson, so there's nowhere where the kinyan can take effect, not him and not the grandson, which is not even here.
So shliach is kind for the other person?
When a shliach is kind, a shliach is shluch shladim kamaisai, so it's a different story. Over here, though, you want him to be kind, and then it should go to the son. But in such a case, he's not being kind of b'chlal.
The son's not there yet.
But Rav Nachman said, Kni the ha sudre, Kni, sorry, for a second, Kni says, you are going to be kaina. And the reason is the hasudre kani, because we find by the kinyan of a sudad, or this is also called the kinyan of chalipin. How does a kinyan of chalipin work? Kinyan of chalipin is when the buyer gives the seller a handkerchief, and the seller picks up the handkerchief, and he gives the handkerchief right back to the buyer, and that item that the seller is selling gets acquired by the buyer. So what does that mean? That you see over here that when you pick up a handkerchief, it's also kniya manas lahaknesu. You're not picking up the handkerchief with the intention to keep it. So even though you would never really kind of this handkerchief, you just pick it up and you immediately give it back. But nevertheless, how does this kinyan chalipin work? It causes that the item that you're selling should be sold. So you see over here that you could be kind of something just with the purpose to sell something. So the same thing also over here regarding this item. This son could be kind of just for the purpose to be able to give it for his son, for the grandson that is, and it works. The kinyan should take effect just like it is with every single kinyan chalipin. Ravashi, so Ravashi says on this, you can't compare the way kinyan chalipin works to the case that we're talking about over here. Why not? First of all, he says, who should say the sudra that right by the case of chalipin, when you pick up the handkerchief for the kinyan to take effect, that he toughest leile matfis, that if the seller that got this handkerchief, he picks up the handkerchief, if he decides to keep it. Who says he can't keep it? True, the meaning by the kinyan chalipin is that you don't keep it, and you don't need to keep it for the kinyan to take effect. But what if he wants to keep it? He could keep it. So the very fact that he could keep it means that it's something more real, something more significant. There's sort of an exchange happening here. I'm giving you this item, and you're giving me this handkerchief, and if I want, I could actually keep this handkerchief. And that's why it causes this kinyan to take effect. Right? But over here, though, in this case of the kinyan, the son can't keep it at all. The whole kinyan is to give it over to his grandson. It's b'chlal not so that the kinyan is not taking effect at all now. V'oid, another question is sudre in the case of the handkerchief kni almanas lahaknais. So over here, it's a case of kni almanas lahaknais. True, even if you're going to say that you don't keep the handkerchief and you're only picking up the handkerchief in order that is to sell your item to this buyer, but v'kni min hashta. He's being kind of this item right now. The moment you pick up the handkerchief, that is what creates the kinyan of this item that you sell. But halei nichsin the hadain over here, this money of this father that he's giving to his son for the grandson, leim sakani. When is the grandson going to be kind of? The grandson is not even alive now. It's after he'll be born, and then he's going to become a Talmid Chacham. Then you want the grandson to be kind. You're not even sure really at this point that you want your grandson to get this. What's if your grandson is not a Talmid Chacham? You don't want your grandson to have it either. So when he's going to be at Sorb Mirabanan, then you want him to be kind. But but at that point, when you want the kinyan to take effect for your grandson, so the handkerchief is not here anymore. Meaning, if you had made the kinyan here with a handkerchief to your son, but the maisa kinyan that was done with the handkerchief is not here anymore. The kinyan is not taking effect when you're making the maisa kinyan. I mean, over here in this case, when the Gemara says that the sudar is not here anymore, it's lav dafke. What it means to me, whatever maisa kinyan you have done. In this case, the maisa kinyan you're making now, and you want the effect of the kinyan for your grandson to be in a year from now, and 10 years from now. How could that kinyan take effect if today there's no buyer that's being kaina, and the maisa kinyan is causing that a kinyan should take place in 10 years from now? So it's not the same like by the kinyan sudar where it takes effect immediately. So there's two shilas here on Rav Nachman. Besides this, the Gemara brings now from our Mishnah. Amalei Rav Nachman, Rav asks Rav Nachman, Vaha matnas beis chayrein, over here in this story of this case of beis chayrein. This person wants his father to be able to be part of the chasana, and what did he say? I'm giving here this chotzer, this suda, all for you as a gift, in order that my father should be able to come and take from it and eat from it. The kniya manas lahaknisu. So if you think about it, this is basically also kniya manas lahaknis. I'm giving it to you in order that then my father should be able to go and be kainit. And v'loi kakani. And what did it say in the Mishnah? That you're not going to be kainit. So why are you not going to be kainah, right? The Mishnah said over here that unless this person that's receiving it is not going to be kainah for himself right now, that he can keep it for himself, he could even be makdish it. If you're only giving it to this person in order that your father should then get it and be able to eat from the chasana, then it doesn't take effect. Then the whole thing, you're being mevatel the neder here. Right. So, but why not? According to Rav Nachman, kniya manas laknis works. I'm giving it to you in order that it should then go to my father. Amalei, actually, the Gemara says Zimnin Amalei. Sometimes he answered Mishum the Sudasai Machachas Alav. Over here it's different, because the Suda makes it clear what the intention of this person that's giving the gift is. The Ran explains, the Pshat in the Gemara is that when you're giving over here this gift, what's your intention? Your intention is that your father should eat from the Suda of the Chasana that belongs to this person that you gave it as a gift to him? That the father should be kind of from this person that you're giving? No. You want your father to come and join from the Chasana that belongs to you. That's what you want. That's why it doesn't take effect. If Rav Nachman was saying, I'm selling it to my son, I'm giving it to my son, and that in order that my son should be kind of for the grandson. So it should go from the son to the grandson. So even though the son is not really kind of, he's only kind of for the purpose to give to the grandson, but Rav Nachman's shitta is to be kind of something for the purpose that it goes to someone else is also a form of a kinyan. I'm kind of to give to someone else. So therefore it could take effect. So therefore, by the case over here, by the grandson, the pshat is that the son is kaina, and then from the son it goes to the grandson. Mashenkin over here, by the chasana, it's very clear that you don't want this friend in the middle to be kaina at all. You want your father to come to your chasana. So in such a case, Rav Nachman will agree that this is not kniyal manas lahaknes. You really want your father to have a nod directly from you. So therefore, it doesn't take effect at all. And there's the isra of the neder that's still in effect. It's one answer, he said. V'zimnin amalei, and sometimes Rav Nachman gave a different answer. Rabbi Eliezer, that our mission is following the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. And we find that Rabbi Eliezer said that when it comes to a neder, we're more machmer than a regular kinyan. Where do we see this? Because Rabbi Eliezer said, we had this before if you remember, afil vitur aser. There are certain things that a person doesn't care about, person's not makbid about. The example we had before is walking into someone's property where it doesn't bother you if he walks through. Or another example is when you sell something and there's a certain price that you pay for a certain number of apples, let's say, and you add another apple, and this seller doesn't care, he adds another apple. So even if in a kinyan, it doesn't matter, and you add it, or the person's allowed to walk in, but by a neder you won't be allowed to walk into his property. Even something that people are usually mevater, for a neder it's still aser. So therefore, the Gemara is using this as an example. In our case, there is no application of this concept of vitter, but the Gemara is just using this as an example to prove that when it comes to the isser of having a no from a neder, it's more stringent than by a kinyan. So even if for the purpose of the kinyan of Nachman's shitta is kini al nas lahaknas will take effect, that I could sell this item or give it as a gift to this friend, and then from there the father will be able to have a no for a kinyan that could work. But for the isser of a neder, that doesn't work. Because because you're only giving it to this middleman for the father to have a no. Regarding a neder, we're stringent and say that it's like he's having a no directly from the father, and therefore it'll still be aser. And now the Gemara brings another thing from what it said in our Mishnah. So Tnan, what did it say in the end of our Mishnah regarding this story? That after Chachamim heard what happened, so Amru Chachamim, the Chachamim said, Kol matana she'ena she'im mikdisha tehemu kodeshes. Anytime there's a gift that it's not in such a way that if the person that receives the gift cannot be just makdisha to hektish, eina matana. It's not considered to be a matana. So now the question is, why does the Mishnah have to add this that Chachamim said, and what is this new rule that they're saying here? Kol la'asuye mai. When Chachamim came and said this rule, and they used this term of kol, every gift, what is this coming to add? Lav, don't you think? Don't you think it's coming to add this story here of Shadia the Kipi, this individual that was stealing the flax, and his father did not want to give him something, and then he wanted to give him only for the purpose of giving to his son. In other words, what the Gemara is saying is, the Mishnah itself was talking about the halacha of a neder. That when there's something also with a neder, you can't give it to your friend in order for your father to have a no from it. But when the Mishnah says kol, the Mishnah is saying not only regarding a neder, but even regarding hilchas kinyanim as well. By a kinyan, you can't give something to a person if he's not kained at all, and it's only for the person, for someone else to be kained. Isn't that what the Mishnah is coming to add with the word kol? So it's a question of Nachman. So the Gemara answers, loy, that's not the pshat. Rather, la asuye, when the Mishnah adds the word kol, it's coming to add lishne basra the shmaite de Rava. The second version that we had before in the opinion of Rava. So in the Mishnah itself, when it spoke about the story of Beis Chayrain, the person clearly spelled out, I'm only giving it to you because I want my father to have a no. But then in the second version of Rava, he added and said, even if he didn't say it clearly that way, even if he said, I'm giving it to you, and my father will come, then even then it will be also, because Sudasa Mechachas Alav, the circumstances of the story makes it clear that it's a condition, that it's only for the father to come. That's why the Mishnah says kol, to say that even if he didn't spell out Ella, still you're not allowed to give it to this person in such a way, the neder is still in effect. Hadaran Allah HaShutfin, the conclusion of the fifth Pedic of Masechta Nedarim.